be live. Hello to everyone, and I'm happy to welcome you on the second day of the hackathon. And here today we'll have lecture day, and we'll have two lectures from our speaker that might help you during this event. And just to quickly tell you about the agenda, first of all, we'll have Isabel. She is the finalist of two of Lab Lab hackathons, and she will tell you more about creating your idea and defining your concept and how this process should look like to make it, less painful and really productive for you and your team. And after that, we'll have lecture about project architecture will be more valuable for developers. And this lecture will be critical for people who are going to work on your project after the hackathon. So we'll tell about how to create a project architecture that can be easy scaled after the hackathon, and you can build your own big product, big company on top of the prototype that you will do during this hackathon. And today on the stage with me, Isabel. First of all, hi, and happy to see you here. Uh, I will tell you briefly about her. She is the finalist of two of the hackathon we had in Lab Lab. She was in the very first hackathon, I believe, on this platform, and she's like our pioneer. And she is PhD student, yeah, PhD candidate, if I'm not mistaken. And her
Yes.
like very unique thing that he is adding to each team is this scientific, view on the project and scientific part of the each project. And she will tell you briefly how it works for her and how it was during her experience on the Lab Lab. And I don't want to take much time. I'm really interested in listening how to make your, which tips you can give for people regarding project idea. So leaving the stage for you and feel free to kick off.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction and thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to share my experiences with the wonderful lab community. As you mentioned, I was probably in the first hackathon. It was a GPT-3 hackathon. And we weren't that many back then. Now the community is much bigger, and of course then also the competition is bigger, and your idea therefore also has to be to stand out even more. So I think that now it's gotten even more demanding
Yeah.
to develop an idea because you're competing against so many teams, and a lot of teams have great team members, great developers, great business mindsets, and all of that. So it has to be like also there has to be some luck in it, but I would argue that the first thing is to just go for something that you're passionate about, which is what I did in both cases. So in both
All right, I see that it might be internet problem, and I will wait until Isabel will join us again. But before that, let me just tell you briefly about the speech that what will be here. And also, I would love to have some interactive with you today. Guys, if you already have some idea or if you have some doubts regarding your project idea, you may write it in the chat, and me and Isabel will discuss it, and probably we can give you some tips, some advices on this, and maybe other members also can comment on your idea. I guess it would be really interactive for today. And please also write me in the chat how are you doing so far and how the hackathon started for you, because you just made a few days of the hackathon. Yeah, Isabel back. I just talk to people that they can write their idea also. We can discuss it later with you as well.
I'm sorry upfront
No, that's fine.
in the name of German internet providers. So where did I start? What was the last thing that you heard?
Yeah, that the competition is much more higher and you need to be really unique. Let me ask you before you will start, do you remember how many members was on Lab Lab community when you started, when you joined the first hackathon?
Definitely way less than now. I think like right now, I don't know, there are like thousands of ideas and teams, and back then maybe it was 20 teams.
All right. Yeah.
It was, yeah, it was very, very different because also like right now, you kind of assemble teams even before somebody gives a topic that they want to work on, and you join them, or you think of a topic and people join you. And back then it was just 1 day hackathon, the first hackathon. So we actually only had few hours to create some technical solution and to choose the idea and everything. And we only got to know each other on that day. And it was way opener, so you didn't have any structure beforehand, but still it worked out. So it was interesting to see how, like, it's not like in the second round we didn't have challenges. We had like different time zones and all of that, and even though we had like a bit more time, let's say 2 days, not 1 day, it was still challenging because some of the members were in Malaysia, some were in India, and then two were in Europe, including me. So yeah, I think the community grew quite a lot, and that's actually very very nice to see. Yeah.
All right, thank you for answer and feel free to start. Don't want to take your
All
time
right.
for the talk. Yeah.
Thank you. So let me just continue where I stopped. So I was talking about choosing the idea. So the relevant thing is being passionate, and I was trying to like combine psychology and computer science, which are kind of my two passions. And in the first round, actually, I was not the one who came up with the idea, even though it was this psychology connected idea. The teammate who is doing, I think she was already working in the field of computer linguistics. We kind of started with this horoscope. We were thinking like there's a lot of people who like to go online and get their dreams interpreted or stuff like that. And even though I don't believe in this kind of stuff, I'm like, there is still a lot of people. So this is one thing. Like you should not be biased by your like personal preferences or beliefs, because there still might be many people who would get some value out of your product. So this was the first thing, but still, as the time went, we were like, maybe let's add some scientific part into this. So in the end was like, yeah, let's do a dream interpreter, but according to something valid, some method that has been proven scientifically sound. And even though like it's kind of arguable to say that Freud's method is scientifically sound, it was very funny to actually do it because the answers were definitely interesting, and it makes you think. Sometimes, like during the pitch, you could even see like some people putting in their random dreams and getting the answer. Were like, oh, maybe this is really like that. So it was really interesting because we kind of followed our passion, and we went for this. And in the second one, as I said, it was way different. It was already kind of pre-structured. There was Cleona, our team leader, who has
Okay. Okay. So again, German internet providers will remember you for the hackathon. And let me then answer for the question in the chat while Isabel will rejoin us. And here is the question from Nikhil Rouse. Yeah, what is the best problem statement for the hackathon? A business-related problem or a real-world scalable problem? Problem in company or problem in society to be solved in order to increase the ease of life? Well, we do not have such limitation, but I would advise you really to think about the things that you are passionate in, and you can really work on them after the hackathon. Because it's easy to see that if you have some more business related problem that you can solve and you can make a startup on it, it will be easier for you to go with it. Yeah. Isabel is back. I'm just finishing answer for the question. Yeah, and if you will make problem, like if you will try to solve the problem that will, save the world, save the society, just think how you can monetize it, and do you really can work with this problem after the hackathon, or it will be just one hackathon problem? Isabel, to give you some background, there is a question in the chat regarding what is the best problem statement for the hackathon. Is the business related problem or real world like scalable problem? Maybe you have some opinion on that as well.
I would say both, because yes, there might be a real world problem that you cannot easily monetize, so it has to also be business related. Unless you're, I don't know, Bill Gates and you don't need any money.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. If you already have some finance like on your back and you know that it can work, so you don't need too much care about investments and stuff, or your clients, that's fine to go with the problem that will be, like more saving the society, but not so much business related. But still, if you need some funding, if you need something that will, like make this project live for a long time, in the long run, you need to think about business value and how you can give your customers like immediate value, and don't wait until somebody will finance you, in the long run, because usually the whole problem there is to reach the investment for achieve the goal. Yeah, and thank you so much for the question. It's a really good one. Guys, if you still have something, feel free to ask. Yeah, continue, please. Sorry for interrupting you on this pitch.
I think that this time it was something about Discord, because my internet is stable. I don't know what is wrong. Whatever. So I was saying, yeah, it has to be kind of the mix of both. And to get back to the story about choosing the idea, so the first one, as I said, we were three in the team, and this girl, computer linguist, she suggested this Freudian analyzer idea, and we were all, yeah, sounds great, let's go for it. But the second time, it was more complicated. So we were five in the team, and we all had different ideas, and maybe you already experienced it in the brainstorming. Everybody's is going to kind of vouch for their own idea. So in this case, sometimes you need kind of like a moderator, which for us was, in the end, we had a mentor coming when it was like we were running out of time. We had to choose the idea. So we had several. One was like something about suicide prevention, but we were unsure because it's something very delicate. And if AI makes mistakes in this area, who should be responsible? It is very delicate thingy. And then another teammate had an idea about AI journal, and Cleona already made the like our team leader already made something in the previous hackathons that was kind of my idea. That was interesting to see that we kind of have the same ideas. And in the end, we somehow came with the idea of a chatbot for therapy, because I'm working a lot with chatbots in my PhD, and I kind of thought, okay, well, maybe we can try to make a chatbot that provides some specific scientifically already approved and used therapies. So I kind of integrated here my expertise in psychology, and I found some books with cognitive behavioral therapy techniques, and then we fine-tuned the Cohere model with these techniques, kind of. And the other thing that needs to be considered is is it realizable to implement your idea within this few days? So in both, so 2 out of 2 cases, it happened that we need to go with plan B. So you always have to have a plan B, some kind of mock-up, some kind of working prototype, but in case you don't manage the technical implementation. For example, in the first case, none of us had experience with making user interfaces, so we just showed the idea in the terminal, which was still okay, because in the end it's about the idea. You can still build up and work out the user interface details
Let
afterwards.
me let me just ask on this. What do you mean under plan B? Is it the easier concept or easier app that you can build, or is it some like less functional MVP but of the same idea?
Yes, exactly. Less functional MVP of the same idea.
All right,
It
thank you.
happened in both cases. So in both cases, we had somebody working on the more functional kind of prototype, and I was making sure we have this less functional thingy also working, like at least in the terminal, if nothing else. But I think right now the teams are like bigger, and there is always some competent developer who like within few hours manages to create a cool Streamlit app or whatnot. We managed also in the second one, but um, The thing was that we wanted to make our own app, but there was this Cohere convergent that was also previously made, so we just built on top of it instead of putting time into creating the user interface, because it's the idea actually that you should put most time into. So training your model, fine-tuning it, making it do what you want it to do, and I think like the user interface and the aesthetical stuff should come second, is my opinion. So in both cases, as I said, we didn't have like the fully functioning prototype, but it was still recognized as a good idea. Yeah, as what I forgot to mention was the second time it was harder for us to choose, because everybody was kind of vouching for their own idea, and this is where a mentor came, and by the end.
Alrighty, so again, we are waiting for internet to jump on, and I will use this time to remind you again that I'm waiting for your questions in the chat. It will be much more funnier for us to have kind of discussion here, because I know you are struggling a lot of difficulties in point of choosing the idea and choosing the right concept. And we are here people who are a bit more experienced probably in choosing this, because we are working with this hackathon teams. And just feel free to write any questions you might have or something you want to discuss with us, and we will be really happy to jump on and to start a discussion on the topic. Until we are waiting for Isabel to join us again, I would love to to answer some questions and to have the discussion. Yes, she is back. Yeah, please go
Hello
on.
again.
Yeah, do you want to recap on what you was talking about?
What was the last thing you heard?
Yeah, you're talking that one more thing that you want to mention?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this thing about.
Oh no, it happened again. Probably it might be something with Discord, but I get that's completely fine, as we still have a lot of people here to have a discussion on. Guys, write in the chat how is it going with your process of choosing the idea? Maybe you have something to share about, and maybe you had some difficulties. Yeah, I see again one more question from Nikhil, which is what should the final project be like, a website or anything else? All right, that's a good one. So your final project should be an ready-to-use demo. So that's something that we can jump on and try to, to play with it. We are providing you two apps that might be helpful, which is Replit and Streamlit. So there you may host the demo and you may just go and play with the demo. But also you may use something like Hugging Face people usually use, and wherever you like. So it's not necessarily needs to be a website. It's fine if you decided to make it the website, but it's not the requirement. So hosting the app on Replit or Streamlit would be extremely fine. Yeah, please go on with the one more tip.
Maybe if I turn off my camera, it's gonna stop disconnecting me.
No, I guess the thing you may try is to go from your phone. Yeah, it might be good. This might be the thing of the internet or whatever, but still, I guess going from another source might be better. Okay, guys. So let's have 5 more minutes. If that will be challenging for us to run the stream with Isabel, we can go back to her in let's say 20 minutes and start with Vova with lecture about project architecture. But still would be happy to have Isabel here to continue the discussion. Yeah. All right, and thank you for your question. Thank you that you are in the chat together with us. And I see one more. Nikhil, you should join us for this discussion on Discord. I believe it will be much more easier for us to communicate. Okay, Isabel, go on. I told you that maybe joining with phone may be better for you. Like
Okay, let me try.
it will take less traffic. But while you're trying, you may go with the one more thing that you wanted to give us.
Yeah, sometimes it's good to have like a fresh set of eyes look onto your ideas, like from the outside, some kind of objective kind of person that's going to give you feedback, which is what happened with us in the second hackathon. So the mentor was there to help us because we were running out of time and we didn't know um, which idea to go for, and we had to start developing. So if you can call your mentor or ask some friends, or I don't know, but I guess it's always good to have kind of set of fresh eyes look into your ideas, because sometimes people get very subjective around their
Yeah.
own idea. Yeah, let me try
Was
from the phone.
was the mentor all right? So she will join us. I wanted to ask just her, was the mentors helpful? Because I heard the feedback that having the mentor help during the hackathon was pretty much helpful because you have like this fresh look that what Isabel just mentioned. Yeah, can you hear us?
I can hear. Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
well, yeah, we can hear you even much more better than before.
Oh,
Great.
perfect.
Yeah, and let me ask you, was their mentor help really like helpful for you in terms of choosing the concept of idea? Did they help you from the side, to evaluate the idea and prioritize the one that you had? Okay, just to rephrase, would you advise people to reach out to mentors, or there should be a specific case when you need to reach out to them?
I would advise to reach out in these cases. We were like, we had this time constraint kind of we need to start developing, and we kept going in loops where everybody was vouching for their own idea, and we couldn't reach an agreement. So I would advise that in such cases like this, it's okay. So the mentor didn't come and say, hey, choose idea A, but he like asked reflective kind of questions like, what do you think would be the business value of this one? What would be the problem maybe with the idea B? And some kind of this moderating questions that I mentioned. Like sometimes you need a moderator, um, and this helped us choose in the end.
Tell us some points
Uh,
that you prepared for us.
yeah, let me see. With so many interruptions, I'm not sure what people have gotten. So I said, like, already go for what you're passionate about. Ask for external advice if you cannot reach an agreement. Try to like be also objective and not let like your personal beliefs and preferences affect the idea as much. And like depending on what you are what your goal is from the hackathon also. Um, Try to choose the idea that will maybe have some business value for you, or the other type, like real world, helping some real world problems. So for example, for me, the second and also the first one, I do this for fun. So it's not like, I'm not sure yet. It would be nice to have a startup or your own company, but that's not my primary goal. So for me, the primary goal is something that will help people in need. So for me, it's more like this part, real world kind of problem that we can solve with AI. But maybe if people are into like developing a startup or like very into business, then they should go more toward the business side. And you always need kind of like people in the team who are kind of good in this area.
All right. What was the challenging part for you in this point of choosing the idea? You just described for us really good points in general, but specifically for you and for teams you had, what was the most like challenging in terms of choosing the concept?
Hmm. So I think also like in terms of choosing the last one, I would say it was also hard for us to see because there were some similar products on the market already, like and we were like already okay, yes, now we chose this idea, so now we have to kind of upgrade ours to be better than this one that is similar.
Mm-hmm.
So this was kind of like this business side that you need kind of people with business mindset to work on. And they managed that quite well. So that's why I think like interdisciplinarity in teams is like a must have, and it's very good to have, because I mean, you can have the best developer ever who can develop whatnot in like 2 hours, but all of that will be not worth anything if you are not able to show a business value or how you can solve any problem with what you are developing. So I guess this was for me, for example, hard because I don't have that much of this business mindset, but the guys who did this part did actually a very good job, and I was also impressed myself. Um, yeah, so I guess that was the one thing. So you have to like kind of in like very little time do a market research, a whole market research very quickly, and see how you fit into the market and how you can offer more than similar products.
All right. Thanks for this because it's, believe, very crucial point here that you just mentioned that it's important to have people with different background in your team in order
Hmm.
to be successful because you have different points of view, right? And you have just different, I mean, while somebody is making a code and building the app, somebody else can think about business value or making the presentation and good pitch, yeah. So I
Yes,
believe this is the crucial point as well. All right.
yes, absolutely.
Thank you for that. Do you have something to summarize or to give, like final advice that would be good to put in Twitter quote in terms of choosing the concept? No, we can't lose her on this crucial moment, I guess. Okay. I'll be waiting until she will connect and give to us final advice. But I hope for now it was pretty much a lot important information. Just to summarize everything, it's like do your research, which is important to know the competitors and to know what can be really interesting for people, what can solve the problem. Number second is to just understand what you are passionate about and in which you can put a lot of effort. And the third crucial part is to think about the applicability and think about how, with which process you can really develop this app in this time range that you have and what can be your plan B. Yeah, I was trying to summarize everything you just told to us. It is still here.
Thank you.
Cool. And yeah, I was asking before you gone about like summarization, like one line quote we can put, on Twitter and say Isabel just told it to us during the lecture. Okay. Let's wait one more second. As I'm the marketing manager at Lab, I can write this Twitter quote immediately once just Isabel will come back to us with the quote. All right, guys, and before Isabel will come back to us, I will make a quick announcement that literally in 3 minutes we'll have one more lecture with full stack and mostly probably for now backend senior developer who will tell you more about project architecture and how to make your architecture scalable and the one that you can then create really great existing and huge product on it. Yeah, Isabel, we are waiting for your quote.
I'm so sorry. So I was trying to actually type it in the chat. So I was saying, like, whether you are going for solving a real world problem without or with having only little profit from it, or you're going for a business and going for creating your own startup, always go for an idea that you're passionate about, while also considering like how applicable is it to the market, and how many people are you helping with it, and what are you actually solving with it. But
Okay.
am I still here?
Yeah, 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 you're still
Oh
here.
yeah, managed to say the whole thing,
Yes.
um while also like preserving like kind of objectivity, objective look on the whole thing, and not allowing like personal preferences and beliefs affect the development of your idea.
All right. That's pretty
And
good.
if you can, always add some scientific magic into it. Worked well with me so far.
Okay. Thank you a lot. Thank you a lot for these tips and especially for this, your personal part on this. and I'm really happy to have you today for this discussion. Nevertheless, we had some like technical issues, but it's not the point. I hope it was really valuable for people who was watching us. And just again, thank you, Isabel. And without further ado, I just will give to stage to Boa, who will tell you about project architecture. And for now, Isabel will tell you bye, and we'll go for the
Bye
next
bye. I'm
lecture.
sorry again for the interruptions, and thank you for paying attention and for inviting me again.
Thank you, Isabel.
Bye.
So, hi everyone. Uh, my name is Volodymyr, and I'm from Ukraine. Now I'm a backend developer more than 5 years. Also, I have a few years uh, as a full stack developer. I have been a few projects from the scratch and few projects from the live. Also, I have team management experience. So I know something about creating a project architecture and why is this really important. First of all, what this speech is about. I want to talk to you about such things like building a project architecture or software architecture, why this is important, where to start, what to look for, and few related things to this. So let's start. Does it really matter? Why building project architecture is so important? Developers need to keep attention on building scalable project architecture because it allows for easier maintenance, faster development, and better performance. Scalable project architecture is designed to anticipate growth and charging requirements so developers can save time and money by having a well planned flexible architecture from the beginning. This can help prevent the need for costly and time-consuming refactoring down the road. Additionally, scalable project architecture can ensure that the code base remains organized and understandable, and that that application is able to handle an increase in user base and data without becoming slow or crashing. And where to start? To be honest with you, there are no unique way to build proper project architecture. So let's just check some example. When designing a product software architecture, the process can be broken down into 6 easy steps. First, you need to do some research on the project, then set some goals and objectives. After that, you'll need to gather all the relevant information. Then you will identify strategies to help reach your goals. Next, you will need to figure out any quantity requirements. Finally, you will summarize your project. Following these steps will ensure that your design programming fits within the larger context or planning effort. So let's start from the first one. Resort the project type or just research. This is, I think, the easiest part. If you're working on a project on some project type for the first time, it's really important to do the research. You need to check your concurrents, you need to check the similar project to yours, you need to um, check the space where this project working. You can find this kind of information in books or on the building type existing plans, consulting experts, and cost estimating services. Then the second, establish goals and objectives. So this is the first things which you I don't think which you thinking when you starting a project. You need to know what this project should to do. After that, you will gather information. this is something similar to the first step, like making some research, but in this step you need to determine what is necessary for a project. You need to look at the few different categories, like there included who is doing what equipment is necessary, and what the space criteria are. Uh, Additionally, you need to consider energy usage, code information at the site, such as zoning and utilities. Uh, then you goes to identify, sorry, identify strategies. Uh, in this step, you need to make some programming strategies which help you figure out how to reach your goals by taking into account and opportunities and limitation of project. For example, bubble diagram can show you which functions should be near to each other and which paths people's or goals should take. Uh, then, after understanding your strategies, you need to determine requirements. So in this step, you need to check is your budget is enough for all your improvements what you want to make, if this is live project, or all your goals which you want to reach. And they're not only budget, like about money, they're also about your time. So if you're building a startup on the hackathon, you have some limitation on time. You need to understand this. You need to take this time and make the better product which you can. And the last step, summarize all this your work. When you will complete working on your project during hackathon or in general, you need to summarize the result in a few statements and cover the key point. So this summarize should be shared with your client if you have something like a real client, or with mentors or with judges on the hackathon, with your teammates, friends, someone who can help you to like to give some feedback. And this all stuff, it's like partly a business analysis. So let's go to the software architecture, like more for the developers. Software architecture, it's like structure of the software system which define the organization of its component, their responsibilities, and how they interact with each other. It is high-level design of the software system, and it's described the overall structure of the system, its component and their relationship to each other. It also defined any external interface and the design of the software component. And here we have one really important thing, the code documentation. Code documentation is really important because it does not matter will you make good or bad architecture if you do not have any documentation about your project. No one will be able to work with this project, because if you will get new teammate to the development team, you will need to describe each component, each method, each function for them. If you have good architecture as well, these developer need to understood whole project. So first of all, keep attention on the creating documentation. Documentation in general, it's a key for having fewer bugs and making the code easier for everyone involved to understand. So software developers always have something new to work on, and it's important because as I mentioned, you can get new teammates. You can, I don't know, maybe sold your project to some clients, and your documentation. It's like presentation of your project. The easiest documentation can help spend less time to understood what this project doing, how this doing, and where to find the stuff which like developer wants to find. Uh, the most of us will work with Python, so here you can find few tools to which can help you make your documentation creating process easier. You can find these tools for yourself. So let's go on. And the next, I think, the more important on this presentation and the more important things which I can share with you, it's my personal experience. So I think for now you should forget everything I said, partly because in general you don't need to spend so much time for planning the architecture because sometimes you're limited in time. Remember, time it's a money, and it's really important to not overthinking. So do not overthink. And anytime you will be able to rewrite the project from the scratch. Of course, you will spend additional money, additional time, but you will be able. 99% of programmers mess up. So, and 1% slide that they never messed up. And I want to share two examples from my um, experience. First one, it's about good project architecture. Uh, it's about a project which built by Mark. Mark is a really cool developer with a great experience. If someone of you have experience with the Laravel, you will get what I mean, and for another, I'll tell some more details. Laravel, his directory structure, like all components, we have in one folder, one directory for all models, one file for all API routes, and more and more and more. So this cool idea if you're working on small or medium project, but enterprise. When you have more than 15 each structure file and endpoints, uh, it could be really hard to navigate through the project. So what he does, he write whole project structure to make one folder for each component. In one folder, for example, orders, you have order controller, order model, endpoint for manipulation with order. And if you need to add something to orders, you don't need a lot of time to looking for a correct file. You sure where you need to search this file, and yeah, you can search by file name in your IDE, but trust me, this is not a good example when you sorry, this is a really good example when you uh, just rewriting the base structure by your needs. So keep in mind that if you're using some framework, do not afraid to do this. And one more thing which I learned from him, it's do not afraid making microservices. He moved part of the logic to another project. And in this case, you have like two connected and in the same time independent project. Uh, First, if you want to grow, it will be easy to support a few small projects than the huge one. You can have like different teams who works on such different projects. Second, if you have few business ideas which uses the same functionality, you can reuse these your microservices for all your project. You can even start new startup based on these small microservice. So if you reusing some logic, do not afraid to make it like another project. And the second example, it's about not really good product architecture. We worked on a huge project without proper structure design, without any documentation, without good database design, and we needed to add a lot of new functionality, but database not optimized for it. So we spent a lot of time and money to try to rewrite database to good structure, but we didn't. It cost really a lot of money, but we still used old database because rewriting database structure on live project when you have millions of data records and other developers adding new feature at the same time to this project, to this database, it's impossible to improve it. You must stop project development for like a month and realize some new features, and then um, you need to just merge to different project. Do you? I think not. If you have problem like this, the easiest way and actually the cheapest way is create new project and make it from the scratch based on the project which you have, and then import data from the old one to the new one. Yes, you will pause your project, but you will make it in good way. Will you answer for yourself? Do you want to make your project twice? I'm not sure. And solution. If you are not sure about how to design your application, but you want to make it like functional, make a prototype. Prototype, it's not your final program. Keep this in mind. Prototype, it's like golden key to testing your project idea and testing your architecture design. So if you'll be satisfied your prototype, okay, you're on the right way and you can continue developing this project. And if you're not, it'll be easier to stop this project and start new one with better project architecture, better database design. You will know where you done something wrong and you will not do the same mistakes in the future. And recap of this speech. So, uh, well, I think I may have some confused you a bit of all this speech. So, how to proceed to develop the software architecture or not to waste time on it? It's actually one question in general. You're developing the software architecture in one way or another. The only question is whether beforehand or during the development process to being with to being with before you realize what it is and how to develop it, ask yourself just a few questions. Does my project involve expansion, extending to other platforms like some microservice or using some third-party APIs? Does my project involve a large number of users? Because as you know, more users, more load. Does my project involve more than one person working on the code during its entire life cycle, not on the single moment? If you will want to sell your project to someone else, it's more than one person who working on this code. And the last, do I plan to work on this project for longer than a month, like working years, more than years, not just making like a prototype? If you have at least 1 year, you should spend more time for creating the architecture. And I think that's should be the all which I can tell you. If shortly, project architecture is really important. If you have time for this, do it. It will save your time, it will save your money. And if you need more information about building project architecture, you can contact with me. You can contact with me in Discord. You can contact with mentors at LabLab AI, or you can contact with me in my LinkedIn. You can scan QR code. And as I mentioned, that we don't have unique way to build project architecture for all type of products. So these the things which you need to like do some your own research. But keep in mind, project architecture, saving your money and saving your time. See you. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Okay, I don't see we have really a lot of questions there, so thanks for the talk. I guess everything was pretty clear, and I really enjoyed the part with personal experience. And as a conclusion, it was also pretty good that in any case, really take your time because I believe that whole answers for all these four questions will be yes, or at least for two of them. So that's really something that can be helpful for you in the future if you consider to work on the project after the hackathon. And if you already decided to join the hackathon, probably you consider to do this. So thank you, Wava, for the talk. And I believe everything for today was helpful for you guys. And I know that you probably have a lot of questions as well. So you have our chats, you have tech mentors. Feel free to use it to make this hackathon experience as good for you as it possible. And on this, I want to finish the talk, and I want really to say thank you for everybody for joining us today and being as well with us even when we have some technical difficulties. Thanks a lot for this, and see you on the next streams, and see you on Discord.